I was born in the Philippines. I grew up, my whole family is military. I've been a serial entrepreneur and a very an imaginative creator. So that theme has kind of stuck throughout my whole life. I moved around a lot, again, family military, and then I was in the military where I served as a loadmaster on C-130s. I launched my first venture after grad school where I graduated in 2019. Got into Bunker Labs, did that. I truly believe community saves lives. You know, we're humans and we're designed for true connection. Yes, in times where we want to isolate ourselves, sometimes you need it for a day or two, but you can't stay.
Hey, let's welcome Marianeth Crockett, the OEF veteran. She holds MBA in design strategy and she also founded Kaleo Group. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Do you want to share your story for the listeners who may not know?
Yeah, so that's a long one. um, I guess I can start with in alignment with kind of what I'm building. I was born in the Philippines. I grew up, my whole family is military. I've been a serial entrepreneur and a very an imaginative creator. So that theme has kind of stuck throughout my whole life. I moved around a lot, again, family military, and then I was in the military where I served as a loadmaster on C-130s. I worked operations and I also was public affairs. Um, Back up. So before that, I actually received a bachelor's degree as well, and just kind of utilizing already what I had in place, you know, my God-given talents with design and creativity. And I wanted to get that done and get an education, which is very big in my Filipino culture. And I'm the first degree holder actually in my whole family. So I've been the guinea pig ever since, just kind of trying to figure it out. I do that, join the military, get out, where I became a veteran public speaker in partnership with Road Trip Nation and USO. So did that for about 2 months. I'm on contract. Then I traveled the world. I continued to travel the world after traveling with the military, obviously. So I just completed my 27th country in February. I opened up a commercial design studio where I was a part of the Chamber of Commerce as well. Um, Continue to serve in the community as of the past few years, definitely in the veteran community. I've always been obviously very passionate about the veteran space, but it has been even more robust lately since moving to North Carolina in 2020. And yeah, I launched my first venture after grad school, where I graduated in 2019. Got into Bunker Labs, did that, moved to North Carolina to launch. And yeah, I'm here now and I'm very blessed to be here. I love North Carolina and the veteran community has been amazing. So being able to kind of fuse my passion work with my own, you know, Kaleo Group, being able to get creative contracts and bring visions to life, utilizing my skill sets and in a supportive role has been very, very rewarding for me.
And I saw that you do a lot of interviews now, right? Within the military and veteran community.
Yes, I've done a few interviews. Definitely, I would say recently it's kind of picked up just because I am more in the innovation space. I'm building a defense technology product under my company right now. So definitely being blessed to be in certain rooms and having really awesome conversations with other high level visionaries and go getters and keeping, you know, the tribe sharp because, you know, iron sharpens iron, being able to have people pour into you and you pour into them and really truly moving the needle forward and have everybody, you know, making an impact. It's been very powerful.
And tell me more about your company, Kaleo Group, and how you started it. What was the inspiration and what you do there now?
Yeah. So Kaleo Group has been pretty much the journey of my life. You know, I've always done design. I've always done you know, public affairs. I've always done creating and back end, front end, creative strategy, operations. I've done all of that. And I operated under different names before, especially when I had my commercial design studio. But I knew that it was going to evolve in some way. I was going to add on to it. I was going to bring in more team members. I was going to kind of fuse my rugged tactical side with my designer and creative side. And so I was kind of putting some things in place and I call them divine downloads and things one day just started clicking and I was like, this is it. This is the evolution that I've been waiting for, that I felt in my gut that was going to happen. And Kaleo actually means the calling, to answer the call essentially. And so that's what I've been doing my whole life, but it's been very vivid as of the past year of exactly my purpose and what I'm here to do, and that is truly utilizing my skill sets and my visions to create and to empower others and make and build resilient communities, people, and businesses, which is the overall mission of Kaleo Group. And so, therefore, I've been hard charging ever since on bringing, very specific people on board with specific skill sets to really make a powerful impact, um, both in business, again, people and communities. So I do everything from the 360 experiential design. We're fully bringing concept to creation, a full immersive experience, again, building the dev tech piece out, and then the other venture underneath. So Kaleo Group is essentially an umbrella. I have Kaleo Evolve, which is what I spoke about, the 360 design studio with human-centered and design thinking consultation. And then I have Kaleo Ignite, which is my true passion project in building resilient women. So I'm running women resiliency cohorts. I'm focusing on women veterans to be force multipliers in both everyday and high stakes situations. So, given everything that I've been through, surviving many things, wanting to now pour into women veterans. And of course, I'm later on, I want to open it up to women, but I really want to hone in on the women veterans because of my own pain points in my journey of kind of craving that community of other women warriors and not finding that, also being turned away in other retreats or kind of cohorts because I was a woman. So I set off to build it myself. And so I'm finding the need and, this other women that want to connect. And so being able to build that out, but I'm doing it from an even deeper approach to where now we are truly getting to the root to where you can operate effectively in both business, life, relationships, and in any other avenue. So that's the other part of Kaleo Group that I'm very passionate about.
And what is your approach? What do you teach about resiliency? How do you see that? And how you help women empower themselves by becoming more resilient?
Yeah. So one of the components for the cohort specifically is truly understanding, your operating system. I think if at the bare minimum to understand your own framework to help you kind of see what lens in which you're viewing the world, right? So I think sometimes with trauma survivors, we have to take accountability with what lens are we viewing things from. Sometimes they're stuck in a kind of a victim mentality, let's call it what it is, not that anything should ever happen to a woman, but there are ways to identify certain situations and to recognize red flags and whatever situation that could be to help mitigate some of those risks. But I truly believe, resiliency is built over time. It's the bounce back. It's the pushing through, especially in the moments where you cannot. It's digging deep to the level, like to the lowest level of scrap of courage that you have to continue to move forward. And I think it's that constant pushing yourself to just move forward, even if you're crawling, even if it's ugly, even if it's painful and you're tired. It's continuing to push back every single day in the face of adversity. And even again, where you don't feel like you can, that's truly where resiliency is built. And so again, the operating system, and for the women cohort specifically, there is a vetting process, there's an intake process. So bringing in women that are truly really ready, maybe they're on the cusp of something, maybe they've done other therapies, they've done other cohorts, and there's something else that they're just on the tip of the spear where there's something that they need to drive forward with. And so this cohort is built to answer just that. Again, we're not solving problems in 3 to 5 days, but we are introducing them to things that have been very powerful for me, kind of packaging my experience and through other experiences that I've, other retreats and things that I've done, but really packaging that up to be super efficient in a small amount of time. And again, if anything, giving that self-awareness piece so that they can move forward and dig deeper into whatever that next evolution is for them. So the process, I actually call it a recalibration. So it's not that you're building from nothing. There's something in you and there's something there already in place. Let's understand what that is and move forward with max efficiency, with precision, power, and purpose.
Yeah, and what you said, it reminds me of my own self-reflection journey and how I am building resiliency in myself too. I want to share and many people talk about this, is realizing what's within your control and what's outside of your control. And then whether it's other people's actions, or just random events, or things that are basically luck, I start to see them as the rules of the game that I can change. And then I think, okay, what I can do within in this game to achieve whatever I want to achieve and to advance the mission. Would you say that this resonates with you? And maybe you can add something to this from your experience.
Yes, it resonates. I guess, since we're in this vulnerability space, and then, really understanding why I'm so passionate about this mission to make impact and do purpose-driven ventures is, again, a lot of women unfortunately have, and men, but focusing on women right now, but they have overcome, personal traumas. Women veterans, I think we tend to sometimes leave them out of the conversation when these things are still very real and they still happen, and therefore I will be vocal about it, because if me speaking up or empowering others or pouring into somebody else saves a life, then so be it. um I'm a survivor of a few things, obviously MST, obviously harassment in the military, domestic violence as well. And so I think what's super powerful with especially the woman warrior journey is never giving up, but also understanding that anybody could be a victim at any time. But the fact is you cannot hold yourself in that space and in that box of victimhood. So if something happens to you, you push forward, and therefore I'm building the cohorts of women to be resilient, so therefore they are never victims again and never see themselves in the light of victims. Because truly, when you harness the power and redirect that, it can turn into so many beautiful things. And that's the power of the healing journey, and the power of truly building resilience to where, if God forbid anything happens to you again, you can mitigate the risk, you can address it, you can identify it, and you can come out victorious every single time.
Yeah, and also what you mentioned. Yeah. No, and I also wanted to explore the community side of things and the support network that you can build to get some help in tough times. Because sometimes it like when you go through something traumatic, it almost like you have to go through it alone, but you don't have to. You can rely on the support networks. So how do you see the community aspect of it, and that in your experience?
I truly believe community saves lives. We're humans and we're designed for true connection. Yes, in times where we want to isolate ourselves, sometimes you need it for a day or two, but you can't stay in that place. And so therefore, I've heard so many stories on top of everything, my personal experiences as well, that community truly saves lives. To be able to have the feeling that you have somebody that at least sees you, hears you, understands you, and you have someone that has your back no matter what is going on, it truly gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that there's somebody there. Again, we're designed for connection, right? So, community, no matter what you're into, and that's the beauty of also having the variety of all of these different things, these hobbies, these, you know, simple get-togethers, anywhere from, just getting together for dinner, or getting together and shooting, or doing adventure type activities, having those spaces and opportunities to connect with other human beings and having the raw, real, authentic human experience. I think that's what we crave. And that is such a beautiful thing. And honestly, we're at a time now, it's very interesting, where sometimes social media and technology, as much as it could be a blessing, in some ways it could be a little bit of a curse too, because we're so connected, and yet in some ways we are so disconnected. And I think if we continue bringing things back to the raw human experience, we can find that we're actually truly not alone. When there's always somebody out there that has either gone through it or is going through it. And once you make it through the valley, because again, you can't really truly appreciate the mountaintops unless you have the valleys. And again, that's where the resiliency is built. But for me, and I think many others, especially servant leaders, once you make it through the valleys, you go back and you reach into the valley and you pull somebody out. And that's truly what I believe. So, yes, community truly does save lives.
Yeah, and I also, And you mentioned that social media isn't the real human experience. It kind of is, but it's not. And in my experience, I found myself a few times in the groups, let's say some social media group chats or something like that, forums, whatever it is, where I felt like staying there, even though we were going through a similar
Mhm.
trauma or whatever. I felt like it would make things even worse. Like would like the group would amplify this victim mindset, which I tried to avoid. So would you say that there's also this risk in a community to build something that feeds into the idea of victimhood that needs to be avoided, or maybe we need to ensure that those kinds of support networks are actually helping you and not, putting you down?
That's actually a really good point, and I speak to this a lot. And so those that actually truly know me know that I'm not an enabler. I believe in tough love. And when I have people in my life that's in my tribe, friend group, whatever that is, my need to elevate, elevate an experience, elevate, pouring life and elevating into some, having somebody else elevate. So I'm really big about that. And so you can't surround yourself with yes people. You have to have people that can hold a mirror to you. And I believe that people can only meet you as deep as they meet themselves. And until then, everything is considered attack. So you kind of have to get to a point, especially when you're ready to truly evolve and go to the next level and take that next step, is you have to be honestly tired of your own shit, right? You got to be like, okay, I'm done with this. I want to, be better in this. I want to progress. I want to achieve this goal at all costs. That is now a redirected purpose. And you need to keep tribe and community around you that will hold you accountable for that as well. Truly tough love. Because we got to be real about that, right? So if you keep people around you that say yes, 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 and will stand by and watch your detriment, those aren't the people for you. And so I think you have to be self-aware enough to also feel it, listen to your gut, just utilize discernment, your intuition. If you are in spaces where it starts to kind of feel very draining, if you start to not feel supported in certain ways, maybe doesn't push you or challenge you in a positive way, then you can start to ask yourself, is this a place where I need to be? Am I celebrated here? Am I supported here? Am I pushed positively to be? And if not, then really start asking yourself the hard questions of, do I even need to be in this space? And then continue to navigate where that could be a better fit for you. But definitely, and again, and those platforms could be great too to be able to connect and then build that. But again, finding the right platform, community, tribe. Again, to clarify, all social media is not bad. There are really good aspects of it, and then finding those community. And I've definitely benefited and built communities from that as well. But again, it's how you utilize it, just like with anything. How are you using it? Are you weaponizing it, or are you using it for good? And what is the intent behind it? And that's kind of follows through with everything else too. Whatever
Hmm.
whatever you choose to use, platform, weapons, whatever, what's the intent truly behind it?
You said you traveled to many different countries, cultures. What did you learn um, about humans, or the way people go about their lives in different countries and cultures?
Yeah.
What were some of your lessons from that experience?
Yeah, so I've been, I think I said 27 countries. I was actually born in the Philippines, and I'm very grateful for that experience to be able to know what it's like to be born in a third world country and see how the other side of the world lives. It has given me a whole nother lens and perspective to truly be grateful for what we have here. And going to places, whether that was in the military, flying tactical missions, seeing the raw humanity of things, the ugly, the good, the beautiful. There's definitely um, there's definitely a resiliency component in all humans whether we want to utilize it or not. What I've also seen too is some of the countries, like for example, the Philippines or other third world countries, they might have the bare minimums, but honestly, they're the most happiest. And so sometimes when you kind of strip it all away, it's like you can be so rich in money, but so poor in other places. And so it kind of reminds you really truly what is important. You have your basic things, and in the villages, they have community. They have each other. They might not have much, but they have each other. And so the richness of other humans being together, supporting one another through the hardships has been really pivotal, I think, in survivability in general. I mean, again, going back to going to the villages and going to these third world countries and going to these locations where, sometimes money is not there, but the pure spirit and the courage to survive and just take life head on, seeing that is really, really contagious. But for me, I'm kind of a sucker for experiences, especially immersive experiences. So when I go and travel, I want to do all the anti-tourist stuff. I do research on the location. I want to become blended into the community, whatever country that I'm in, and really fully absorbing, getting into the culture, picking up some of the local language and submersing myself in those experiences, because that's truly how you pull from that. And so, yeah, I think at the bare minimum, we're all human. And to be able to look at somebody from that approach has been really powerful. Again, being able to take snippets of those has been really beneficial to me and my business, and even my, design thinking, human centered consultation, because I'm able to change the lens and see life, business approaches, problems through so many lenses. And I'm very blessed to be able to pull from that. And that's why I have no problem kind of sharing that with others and kind of saying, hey, have you thought about this? Or just perspective, perspective. We're here to live life.
And would you say that people seeing different cultures, different people, that people at their core are similar despite where they were born and the environment they grew up in? Or does culture fundamentally separate people from one another?
Oh, that's interesting. I think it's the first, but there is some integration of the second, where, I think at the core, we are all looking for the answers of life. We all want to survive and, sometimes do better, but when you know better, you do better, obviously. So sometimes, depending on exposure, that also plays into it. But it really depends too, culturally, geographically. There was a lot of things, even when I went through my unraveling, is what I called, that I actually had to strip away, that was ingrained in me from my own culture. I love my Filipino culture, but there were some things that were maybe a little outdated. Being in the entrepreneurship realm, I was taking a very big risk. When my family immigrated here, and I immigrated here, it was this emphasis on education, 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 kind of staying in this box. It's the safe play. Just do it. So I had to go against my own cultural upbringings to say, no, I have these visions and these dreams of truly making an impact on a larger scale, and I'm going to just be a cowboy and go do it. And there was many conversations, probably some yelling, with my own family of, what am I doing? And, beauty of entrepreneurship, every day you're like, what are we doing? Let's keep doing it, whatever that is. You don't have everything figured out. You just jump out of the plane and you build your parachute on the way down. And I'm a little bit of a risk taker, so that's kind of exhilarating for me. But yeah, I think when you know your purpose and what you're trying to do, sometimes, unfortunately, fortunately, however you look at it, you have to kind of strip that away, um, and move forward with the overall vision and your North Star, and build your North Star, know what that is, and move forward very aggressively. There's a quote that I love that says, be firm in your goals, but flexible in the journey. And that's something that I have to remind myself every day, because me being a planner, I'm like, this is going to happen A, B, C, D, and that's it. And life throws you curveballs and things pop up, and you just have to keep moving forward. So being flexible in that journey, but also keeping to your North Star and the overall goals that you have. But yes, I think, culture, as much as you love it, traditions and things can sometimes subconsciously play into your play and how you actually do it, the journey. So yeah, just being mindful of that. Yeah. My family now has they understand me a little bit better. It's been a long time coming, but I think they get what I'm doing now and knowing that it's okay to take risks. I'm truly the first. We've had entrepreneurs in the family, but I'm a little bit of a more of the innovator, I guess I should say. And so kind of building my own path and paving my own lane, so to speak. So yeah, they get it now, but it was a lot of pushback to get them on board. But again, that's culturally just because they come from a hard life and respecting that and using that as motivation to move forward and saying that I'm intentional about the way I operate because I know what it's like given the generational history and that it's more impactful for me to live my dreams for all my family. Like I'm carrying the family on my back, you know what I mean? So it's like it's just a lot more powerful. So I think if we think about it in terms of that, it's really powerful.
Hmm. And before we finish, do you have a final word or a few words that you want to put out there? Something that we haven't discussed, or maybe something that you want to re-emphasize on?
Oh, there's a few, but I guess I would say again, going back to being firm and whatever goals that is and whatever alignment, you know, keeping community, people, and your core values all in alignment in everything that you do. When you're very intentional about how you operate and what you want to accomplish, it really cuts out a lot of fat because sometimes people will stay in a loop. Sometimes people will stay in places that they don't need to be staying for long term and they get drained and they forget their purpose or they get lost along the way. And that's life, that happens. You might take a detour here and there and that's fine, but I think going into every situation asking yourself hard questions and continuing to be self-aware and digging deep to say does this align with A, B, and C, doing your own checks and balances and asking people that care about you what do you think about this, and then using critical thinking about how you want to move forward with things and inviting people in conversation for me has been very important and very pivotal in my journey both professionally and personally, and I encourage others to also follow a spiritual path as well. But yeah, I would probably say check yourself for the alignment. It really does kind of cut a lot of the fat out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for coming over and sharing your story
Totally.
and everything about you. I'll leave all the links to your work in the description. So if you're listening, please check that out. But thank you again for the great episode and good luck with what you do.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.